So many emotions the last few weeks. It's crazy to think that it's done. Covered that team for 5 seasons.
On to the next one.
Suns, here we come.
You got traded.
What you're saying is you quit the Lakers filming job.
I quit the job. I knew that it was something that I eventually wanted to do.
You quitting the Lakers.
Yep.
What does this mean for LeBron's legacy?
That's the question that everyone's been asking.
It's burning. And you got a ring out of it.
Dude,
you know?
yeah.
We ain't ring chasing, but you got one.
We're rocking the ring
Yeah.
on this last episode.
That ring is so rad. You quit, you did it. Would you do it again?
I would do it again. I think that it was the most fun 5 seasons ever, and I learned a ton.
Do you have like a top 5 moments that you shot throughout the 5 seasons you were there?
I think one was the night that he broke the record.
LeBron turns, shoots, scores! There it is! All hail the new king in town!
Why did you quit?
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Before we get into this episode, we have to tell you about this crazy new thing that we're starting called the Dream Client Accelerator. We've been working on it for months, and Kosti, tell me a little bit about what's inside of it.
Absolutely, Rox. We are so excited about this. So it's a 6-week cohort program where we meet twice a week. So there's going to be 12 calls in total. Now, the different topics that we're going to be covering are positioning, lead generation, marketing your services, how to charge more for your work, pricing, client outreach, how to navigate a sales call and what questions to ask when you're on the phone, contracts, best practices with clients, and the tools we use in our businesses.
Bro, I mean, this is everything that we've been using for all these crazy brands that we've been working with. Dude, we just wrapped something with Nike Swim. We just did a job with Adobe. You just finished something with Mercedes-Benz that I also helped you shoot. You're going to Sony Kando. I'm going to Sony Kando as your guest.
Finally got Big
Finally
Rock at
got
Sony
it,
Kando.
dude. Let's go. We were taking all these things that we've learned, and some of these things brands have gotten the best of us on. And we've learned so much over these last 10 years of making content and working with brands. And we're sharing it all here over these next 6 weeks.
What's also cool is from this podcast, we've been able to talk to hundreds of you guys in the DMs. And I would say the most common pain point that everybody's feeling is like, how do I charge more for my work and land those dream clients? If you were to tell me when I was first starting out that I'd be working consistently with some of these brands like Mercedes, Sony, getting to go to Japan on a completely free trip with Fujifilm, I would have looked at you and been like, you're crazy. How are you doing it? We've learned so much over the last decade of us both doing this. And I am so excited because I genuinely feel like this is going to help transform everybody who is involved creative business.
And we want you to make more money and
Totally.
work with better clients. And right now, the wait list is open. We have limited spots, so I would sign up right now on the wait list because you're going to be the first people to hear about when it drops. And we'll keep updated on socials, on our stories, on the 505 Pod stories. Go sign up for that right now down below, and let's get back into the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 123 of the 505 Podcast. Let's get this one-handed crack. We got special cans in the house. Do not drink them.
Love these cans.
Do not drink the can. These
Can
are
I show-
5 years expired. Yeah,
That's how I like my beer.
I'm showing the kids.
show the camera.
They're so cool, dude.
Okay, here we go. Oh, it only was right that I did a good one on this episode. Oh, a huge dent in the
I
corner.
told you, dude. I've leaned into pure power, bro.
Okay. Here we
Huge
go.
dent in the
Oh,
corner.
they smell skunk, dude.
God, dude.
Oh, see, it's just opposite.
Doesn't matter if the can.
Dude, lightning and thunder.
Nothing
Kosti
changes.
and I, you know?
Cheers. This is something we won't drink.
You might get some beer on your hands. Mine really exploded. Cheers,
baby.
cheers. Bad luck, but I don't care.
How you feeling?
Man,
Yeah.
so many emotions the last few weeks, and it's crazy to think that it's done.
Yeah, sure is.
Covered that team for 5 seasons, man.
On to the next one.
Suns, here we come.
You got traded. That's crazy. Did you sign a Supermax?
Yeah.
So-
That is Supermax.
So, is what you're saying is you quit the Lakers filming job?
I quit
that you
the
had.
job. I quit the job. And
It's crazy, man.
it's nuts to have this podcast because I knew that it was something that I eventually wanted to do, was to like make my own thing and go
Yeah,
all
yeah,
in,
yeah.
go all in on the pod. But We got a wild episode because we're going to get into eventually why I decided to leave, tips for someone that could be going into this space, someone that wants to get a job in pro sports, my advice. I think I have a lot of really good advice, and I've been able to mentor a lot of people that are very successful in the sports space. So that's going to be super fun. If you're here for that, go all the way to the end. I'm telling you, I'm going to have so many gems for you that it's going to make your life so much easier as you go on this path.
So really quick, Kosti and I have some quick questions.
Yes.
Lightning round.
Okay.
You quitting the Lakers.
Yep.
What does this mean for LeBron's legacy?
That's the question that everyone's been asking.
Burning question. Yeah.
I mean, I think that
Top of the ticker, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Colin Coward is that's the thing tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
As soon as this
That's going.
drops,
Yep.
that'll be, on their first take. They're going to be talking about that. It's a lot of stuff to go
I haven't
through.
told you this yet, but Woj texted
Woj
me.
bomb. Yep.
He
I saw that
texted
bomb.
me and he was looking for some insider information. He's a big listener of the podcast and he wants to be the first to break the news.
Yep.
And I said, listen, Woj, you've had enough. Okay.
Yep.
505 is breaking this news.
Shams also wanted
I was going to say, we sent it to Shams. Offered more money.
They wanted in on it too.
Dude, so bad.
What's crazy though is you have that jersey, which is really cool. But what are they going to do about the one that they're going to put in the rafters? Is that the same one? Or?
They gave me the medium, so they're putting the large in the rafters.
Sure. It does look small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little.
That's an extra small for sure.
I'm hyped that they did get me this, and they put a 5 on it, so you guys can see that. Because
Yeah.
5 seasons.
Oh, that's cool.
Did
And
you-
505.
I put my-
represent.
oh.
Yeah. That was my first thought.
Turn around.
Oh, dude,
Nice.
look back at it.
Look
Huh?
back at it, dude. Yeah, it was fun to go to my last work dinner. They got me a jersey. It was very kind. They all
Nice.
wrote in this card.
And you got a ring out of it, dude.
Dude,
You know,
yeah,
we
we're-
ain't ring chasing, but you got
We're
one.
rocking the ring
Yeah.
on this last episode.
That ring is so rad. You could get so many free drinks with that ring, probably.
Yeah.
I don't bring it out enough, and it's gonna stay in its case.
Yeah, I
think,
get that.
You know, but so
That's
crazy.
pretty sweet.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So, first question for me, real question. Not that I don't care about LeBron's legacy. Would you do it again? You quit. You did it. Would you do it again?
I would do it again. I think that it was the most fun 5 seasons ever, and I learned a ton. And for those of you that don't know, maybe this is your first time tuning into the pod, but I did this exact job at Oregon. And then when I left school, I wanted to start a company. So I started a company. The company ended up failing, and this was my first ever real job, a real adult job where you're going into the office, you're traveling, you're doing all these different things. So I think that it was the best experience ever, and I had such a cool team to do it with, and I think that's rare to have the entire team get along really well from just the people at any job, right? Usually there's huge cliques at jobs, and I felt like as a team we all got along and really enjoyed each other's company. I think that's super important, just the culture of where you're going to be, because you have to spend so much time around the people that you work with. You spend more time with the people that you work with than a lot of your best friends, a lot of your family, which is really wild. So if you don't enjoy their company, I would say leave and go find somewhere else, because there's plenty of other jobs out there that have cool people that work at them that curate a good culture, and I thought they did that really well. So I would 100% do it again.
Hell
That's
yeah, dude.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question that we ask every guest on this podcast is advice to your 18-year-old self. I'm not going to ask you that question. What I'm going to ask you is, if you were able to talk to yourself and give yourself some advice before you were to accept this job, what would you tell Brayden?
I would say to listen more. I feel like I came from a place at Oregon where our vibe was move fast and break things, similar to your first job, right?
You still live by that
I still
motto.
live by.
It breaks a lot of stuff.
Break a lot of stuff. You're moving pretty fast, but I think if I could go back, I would tell myself to slow down just a little bit. I think I came in very gung ho, and I feel like that was one of the reasons why I maybe got the job, because I was very excited and I had these new fun ideas. But then once you get in, you don't know how anything works, especially when you're young like that.
Right.
You have no idea who has to see things. And at Oregon, for example, dude, I could just do whatever I wanted. No one was really telling me oh, hey, you can't go in there. Dude, the game ended. I'm in the locker room. I'm in the huddle. I'm on the ground, leaning up. Nothing real. There wasn't a rule book to follow. We're also all the same age. I know a lot. I know a lot of these guys. We see each other all the time. And to go from that to a professional work setting where these guys, their job is to play basketball. It's not just for fun, and they got a scholarship. They're trying to get March Madness. Maybe some of them are going to go to the draft. Maybe 80% of the team isn't going to go play, maybe more, 95% of the team isn't going to play at the next level. It's like you have a few guys, you know? That was very different. And I think that I needed a better understanding of like how that worked and who you needed to talk to make things happen, because at every company, there are very key people whose opinions matter, and there are people's opinions who don't matter at all. And so you need to understand, if you want to get your ideas to actually happen, who do you need to talk to? Who needs to okay the idea? And if they okay the idea, who could shut the idea down? Because at any corporate company, it's like legal's got to see it. MR has to see it. Your media relations team, or maybe there's a business dev team that has to see an idea before it gets pushed out. So you need to think about all of those different people and what their things are that they need to check off. Because if you're not checking off just that, you're like, oh, this is a very creative idea, but maybe it doesn't push for this thing in tickets or something. I don't know. But that can make an idea die. And so learning and understanding how the business runs before just being like, yo, I'm just here to make cool stuff. You know, I think that was an eye-opening thing for someone who was really young inside of a company that is a very like legacy brand. Like I was the youngest one by a lot. Like, you know, it was like there was like maybe like 2 of us that were on the like maybe 8 or 9 years to our next coworker. So we were like kids in this world of people that had been in the corporate world or been at this job for a minute and knew more about how it works. So I'd ask those people more questions.
I also feel like it's different if you were to be working with like a startup and you come in, you're like, I got all these ideas. If you're working with a legacy brand like the Lakers, who's been around for a while, learn how they run things before you come in hot.
Yeah, as being like a young gung-ho guy, was there anything that you like little things you learned like about just like operations or like things you shouldn't do or should do?
Yeah, I think a big one that still to this day, like all of us can take into account if you create things for brands or for companies, is to just double check your stuff.
Yep.
Make sure that it's good before you're bugging someone to watch it. I could have for sure done that better. Like that's just one of those things when you're like young and fast and you're good at what you do, you just send stuff off and they're like, dude, you're missing a watermark. It's like, no, I'm not. And you're like, damn it, I'm missing a watermark. And then you just took 15 minutes of that person's day and now they're slowing down on their stuff. So I think that's important. I would also say, like, if you're moving into it from college sports, I think a big one is it's just different, man. It's not the same at the pro level. If you're going to the NFL, from people I've talked to, if you're going to the NBA or the NHL, whatever, it's just different. It's a totally different vibe, and every organization is so unique. And you talk to people and you hear horror stories of like, they don't treat their people well. They don't do this well. And I thought the Lakers did everything very well. Like, one thing I will say, and I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but the Lakers vibe is like excellence and greatness. And you can tell that like our head of basketball operations is Rob Pelinka, right? Rob's an agent Rob was an agent before he became the president of basketball ops, right? And dude, the agents want like the best. They want the best of the best. And you kind of felt that throughout everything at the company. They were always trying to be the best at the best, state of the art in everything that they were doing and be the first to do things, but it like not because of someone else doing something, because it was necessary or needed. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Totally.
I feel like you'll see maybe another company do something. They weren't a brand that was going to hop on a trend because it was cool. It was like, if we're doing something, we're going to do it to the best of our ability because we want to do it and we think it's important, not because we see this other company or this other brand doing it. And I think that I'm taking that into the pod, into this other thing that I'm doing, is like how they operated was of excellence. Like they were just trying to make, like, you know, we won a championship. That was crazy. But you get to see that for 5 years and you're around these players and these people that are really good at what they do. And that just trickles into everything. If you get people that are trying to be the best at what they do, it trickles into your company culture. It trickles into the winning the games. It trickles into like everyone's attitude, everyone's mood. And it's like you're getting these specialists. So I do want to take that to the things that we're doing, trying to find specialists, because when you have people that are very specialized and very great at what they're doing, it goes into everybody, dude. Everyone like rises to that level of excellence. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Did that make it difficult for you to find like where your specialty lied within the company?
Yeah, I think when I started, in my head, I thought I was a lot better than I actually was.
Sure, same.
And like, I don't know, you come from a place, especially if you're in college, let's say, right? And you're like the guy at said thing, or you're good at that thing. And maybe there's like 10 or 15 people that do it. And then you get into a work environment at a brand or an agency or something. And then now everyone's good. Everyone's good at their thing. They're good at motion. This person's great at graphic design. This person's a great writer. And it was like, I needed to, in my head, think more now. Like if I could go back, I'd say to work with more people on more things. Because when we all worked together on stuff, it was so much better, way cooler. And even if you're at a brand like that, you can get in this weird like isolation phase of like, I'm working on this thing. But you need to do your best to think about how can I pull like that photographer's photos and put them into this? Or how can I talk to the motion designer? Maybe he or she could help me with this thing that'll make this video 10 times better. And like I go back and look at the projects that we all worked on together, that stuff's 10 times better than anything I ever did by myself. Like having a great script made the video 10 times better. Having a little motion element made the video 10 times better. And when you get like the brains from all these people that are great, stuff just looks tremendously better. And then you think about like big projects in ad world that like what we're working on now, if it's just you doing it, it probably isn't insane. But then if you have this great writer who has their touch on it, and then the crazy camera operator who's really dialed does their thing, and then the colorist does their thing, when you get all these great people, things just look better and everything is just better. So I would say if you're at a team, even if you have like 3 people, you're at like a D3, small school, whatever, try to think about ways that you can all collaborate on stuff, because once you find out each other's strengths and each other's weaknesses, you can play into all of that. And I think that they did that on the court. Like they were always doing that on the court, you know, but like I didn't even think about to do that in that, like in the business side of what we're doing. It's like, okay, well, if they're doing that, we have this great center, but maybe he can't pass or whatever. Okay, well, they put a guy around him that can pass. Right. You need to think about that with the creative stuff. Like, okay, I'm not a good After Effects guy, but Chase bangs at After Effects. So find people that, you know, complement what you're doing. I think that's a big one. Pause flag on the play. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a brief moment from Artlist.io. If you're looking for music, sound effects, stock footage, or the best AI voiceover in the game, dude, you got to check out Artlist.io, and it's linked down below.
You have a one-stop shop basically for like anything you could want to make. You could just go up there and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I did need music. I did need sound effects. I kind of wanted a voiceover too, because my voice, I don't like it. But like there's so many on there that I really love. And then you can make anything you want to make. It's unlimited possibilities, dude.
I like your voice.
Thanks, man.
And I think that's all that matters.
I do too.
Question for Brayden. We're talking about you working at the Lakers. Was there ever a time during your 5-year stint working at the Lakers that you used a song from Artlist?
God, all the time.
That's crazy.
All the time on my
crazy.
Instagram. You go to my Instagram, dude, it's from Artlist.io.
Yeah, same, honestly.
Dude, it's the best place. You get 2 months for free if you use the pods code downstairs at checkout. All right, let's get back into it.
You're talking about excellence on the Lakers side, and it reminds me of Apple in the sense of you never see Apple be like the first to launch something like an iOS feature. You see them launch something that, you know, maybe Samsung's been doing on the Galaxy for like the past 5 years, but when they put it out, they're doing it so much better than the competition. And I feel like that is similar to the Lakers. Also on excellence, you're around one of the potentially the greatest basketball player of all time, easily the best, I think, of our generation. Is there something that you picked up from being around LeBron for the past 5 seasons that relates to sports, but you're able to bring into like your own work and your own life?
One, I think it was just really inspiring to, because like he's like low-key a coworker.
Right.
Like,
let's go.
Like we're in the same, we work for the same company.
Right.
Paid vastly different. No, but a few things. Like I think LeBron was always very kind to like us, and I think that shows just like character.
Yeah. And
when you're nice to the people who like we're just doing our job, he doesn't have to be nice to us, really. Like he does, you know what I mean? He's just there. He's the reason why we're winning the games and stuff. Like my thing isn't like impacting the game, you know? And he was always kind to us, and like if we asked for a walk-off interview, he'd give us a walk-off interview, and that then made me look really good to our boss. And like those little things that obviously they don't even like, that doesn't even probably cross his brain, but that really helped us a lot. And I thought that it was cool just to see like what perfection and like chasing excellence looked like. Bron would get there always 4 hours before, dude. Or like 4 hours, sometimes 4.5 hours before. He's the first one on the court. every single time.
Crazy.
He'd be the first one on the court. The cheer team for the opposing team would be trying to do a routine and he's trying to warm up. And it's like, it's just funny because then their team's not even coming in yet. And he's already like got a workout in. He's already lifted weights. And I think when you see that pursuit of perfection, it's like inspiring and it rubs off onto things that you're trying to do. And perfection in your craft is something that I was trying to always get better at. Like I was very harsh on my clips, and even going back to like year one, I look at the stuff I was making and I thought I had a dialed in process. But once you see what literally perfection looks like and what the best of something, he's a number one at something. I think it's rare too that you get to see people that are number ones. We've talked about this before, but like you see people that are number one in NASCAR or number one at F1, and then you see number one at basketball. You pick up their tendencies of what makes them the best. And it's funny because like you have the blueprint, but then people don't follow the blueprint. You see it. You see what he's doing. He's there after. He's there first. He's there at 6 a.m. Even like in the summer when he would work out, he'd be there at 6.
Right.
He'd be just grinding at 6 in the morning. And he's older than all of those young guys, right? These guys are like 21 and they're getting there whenever. I don't know, whenever they get there, but like he's there at 6. And it just shows like no matter what, he's still going to do it at the highest level because he wants it that bad. And I just tried to take like those little things into things that I was doing to make it better. And I feel like, I don't know why, like I felt like I had like a chip on my shoulder to try to make it the best. Sure. Because I felt like this obligation of covering that team and some of those players that it was like I owe it to them to try to be like the best at this thing.
Because they're trying to be the best.
Yeah, because they're trying to be the best and they're trying to win. And it's like you can't quantify winning at camera. But you can quantify getting the best clips on the floor that night.
Right.
And I think that those moments would happen. I don't know, Rohan and I would always talk about this. Like those great moments happen like 1 to 2 times a game where everyone stops and the crowd goes crazy. And you always are trying to get the best shot of like that specific moment because every other little thing you've done it 1,000 times. So you know when the chalk toss is going to happen, you know when this is going to happen, but getting that one moment that no one else got or from your specific angle and it's perfectly in focus and the track is great. Like that feeling's crazy.
Do you have like a top 5 moments that you shot throughout the 5 seasons you were there?
I think one was the night that he broke the record. That was by far the craziest night ever, and I got the clip of that. Another one was when we were in Washington, D.C. playing the Wizards. There was one game where him and AD had like 8 dunks, like back to back to back to back to back. And they just kept happening. And I remember like looking at Rohan, I'm like, bro, what's going on right now? We just kept having them happen. It's so funny because there's this one dunk, like Bron dunks. And then Pat Bev comes up behind him and like shoulders him, but Bron doesn't know that it was Pat. And he turns around and he's like, oh, it's Pat. Like, oh, it's Pat. Like,
that's awesome.
That clip was just kind of funny. I think, dude, in-season tournament, by far, one of the coolest things to have them go on and like win the first one. That was nuts. And
that's sick.
It was fun. It also like felt like a baby championship in its own little way because it was, they had the champagne, they had all the stuff. It just felt really fun to be a part of that. And like, I think that there's a few plays that just stick out. Spencer Dinwiddie's game-winning block, like this last season, was super cool. And I was right there on the floor. And I remember popping when it happened. I was like, "Do I pop up?" I'm like, "Oh, my legs are already out of the chair, man. I'm popping up. I'm just gonna follow this around." And it was special to be right there for so much of that stuff.
I also think a cool moment that wasn't in the game is when LeBron kicked at the camera.
Oh, that was in
and
Sacramento.
Like, just acknowledged you. I think
sick.
that's really cool. You're also talking about like picking up on tendencies that LeBron does and bringing them into your like own life. I don't know if you've noticed this, but he starts as he's walking around, like as he gets a good clip, he just starts.
Big does, dude, all the time.
And then I was also thinking you have a lot of similarities because LeBron's like, you know, the kid from Akron who brought Cleveland the championship. You're like the kid from Cyprus who brought LA the championship.
Cyprus, this is for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember hearing that over the broadcast. I was like, who's yelling that?
Yeah,
is
man.
it Tiger Woods?
Pretty similar.
Same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You also, so you brought up the night that he broke the record, and then you made an incredible video.
Yeah.
You worked on that video for a very long time, and you talked like you talked to your whole team about that. is that an example of what you were talking about earlier of like talking to other people and bringing in other people's stuff? Even though I feel like a lot of the footage that you used in that video you shot, which is so epic.
That was like 98% my clips, but then Taylor, the writer, wrote me like copy that went over it. And I feel like that just took it to a completely different level. And I worked really hard on that video. I feel like I only had a few of those in me a year because you spend so much time on them and you're looking at the footage for like weeks and weeks trying to find the stuff to make it make sense and make it flow together. And that one was like one of the special ones.
I always loved when you were like it would be like a big like LeBron's highlight video or something that you knew was going to be probably like big like moment in like culture and basketball, and you're like, I'm gonna go so fucking big on this one. I remember like there'd be like 3 times like a year, you're right, where you would just be like, I'm locking myself in my room, you won't see me for 4 days, I'm gonna chef. And that was fun when you would just be like, I got it.
Yeah, I come out like my like, black circles under my eyes. I'm like, haven't seen the sun in days. And that one was fun. That was
inspiring.
There was one that went crazy. I don't remember why I made it. I think
black and white one.
Yeah,
was hard.
I just made it for fun, and then I woke up and it had like a million views. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" That was a crazy video.
I would just love when you would come home from games and be like, "Boys, gather around." I was just tracking the ball like no other.
Yeah.
Check out these fucking
the focus
shots
and the
I got.
zooms.
Yeah.
Do you have any moments that like not necessarily shooting related, just like goofy moments that you can finally share?
Oh, yeah. Okay. During the record night, I remember I don't remember why I was like running behind. I don't remember what happened. The time got away from me.
Carpool lane wasn't
ripping that day. And I was like borrowing one of your Ronins, and I get there and the damn thing wouldn't balance.
Sure.
And I'm like calling Abigail. I'm like, has he came in yet? She's like, no, he's not here yet. And she's like, everyone's here though. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming as fast as I can. I like skirted into the parking lot, full sprint, like with the heaviest Pelican case ever. I get there, damn Ronin won't balance. I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, dude, he could come any minute.
What was your setup? Do you have the little baby lens on?
It was a 9. It was a 9 mil.
It's so hard to balance. It's too light.
Couldn't get it to stay straight. I'm like, oh my God. And then I get it up and it'd be like, bang, bang, beep, and then it'd sleep. I'm like, dude, if that sleeps when he comes in. As he was walking up, it finally green lights. I'm like, oh, we're good, dude. And I got him coming in that like Batman type of suit. I knew when he came in that suit too. I was like, breaking it. That's breaking a record. He needed 36 that night to break the record. And I remember hearing from someone, they're like, yeah, Bronny and Bryce have like a tournament or something. They're flying out. I'm like, oh, he's breaking it tonight. Dude. Yeah, they don't want the kids to have to come back. No. You know,
I'm sure like upper management was like, he's breaking it.
It was also the third quarter when that happened. Right. So to drop 36 in the third quarter, that was bonkers. That was like one of the wildest moments.
I also think it's because I read something that there were like, if it's fourth quarter, like they can't really just like stop the game. But like if he does by the third or earlier, he can't. So he was like, I'm getting 36 in the third. Dude, fuck you all.
I remember being like,
so sick.
Oh, they're stopping the game.
Yeah, for like, a while, dude.
We just stopped it for a good. I think I rolled for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was so funny when it was just like I watched the first 5 minutes of that game. I was like, oh, he's breaking it tonight. Yeah. Like foregone conclusion.
That was nuts. I think the first time I ever got to ride on the team plane, you walk into this plane, it looks like a regular Delta plane, but then you walk on and they got every snack known to mankind, chips, berries, fruit, platters, like all the stuff. And then you sit down, they're like, would you like dinner? And I'm like, we can get dinner.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I'll take the steak. And they're like, it's Mastro's tonight. I'm like,
no way.
It's Mastro's tonight. They're like, yeah, surf and turf.
Wow.
Lobster steak.
Is like the seat configuration different?
Yeah, they have like the team up in the front and then coaches and then the rest of the staff.
But is like the actual like seats, like it's not like you get past 12.
No,
and it's like
they're
seats,
they're
right?
all the private plane like seats.
Wow.
They're like a first class seat. Every seat is like a first class
lay
seat.
Flat?
That go not lay flat, but like 90% of the way there. You know what I mean?
I never flown first class, dude.
I just see
I fly coach with people.
I do too. You see him. You see him when you walk by.
Can't relate.
But yeah, I see him when I walk by.
That was
so every seat's like a first class seat, basically.
Yeah, and then you have like the coolest flight attendants ever. They're like, oh, anything you want. You get a menu, like a Lakers menu or whatever, and then you can just pick. I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah, that sounds sick.
Flying with the team was one of the coolest things ever, and that was something that I'm like, damn, when I fly regular, it's like,
and the hotels sounded pretty rad too.
You're staying in the nicest hotels in every city, and it's funny because then after each season, you're like, you have like the favorite ones. You're like, oh, I really like the one in what was the one? Toronto. I think we stayed at like the Shangri-La or something.
Oh, Shangri-La's nice.
And you're up at the top, like they're like, oh, 44th floor. I'm like 44th floor. I think the one in Philly is the Four Seasons in Philadelphia. That's the nicest hotel I've ever seen.
Dude,
and you're like
Four Seasons in Philly.
Four Seasons in Philly. You're like 60 stories up or something like that.
It's just like checking prices.
Yeah, he's
right
checking
now.
prices. Like,
Didn't you have like an elevator ride in like Washington D.C. or something, and you got stuck with some players or some shit?
No, it was in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And that was just funny because that was the first time I ever traveled, and I remember it's like.
This was the first time you ever traveled?
Yeah, like one of the first times I got to go outside of like Sacramento. They like let me go like a little farther than Sac.
Sure.
They were like, all right, you can go.
Right.
gotta
You
let
can
the
leave
bird
the
fly.
state.
I was the mayor of Sac at that point, but I got to go to Oklahoma City on it was like a 4-game trip or something. And that was when we had Russ and Melo and Bron, AD, right? So I remember I walked in the elevator and I was so delirious because it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like it's so late when you land in those cities. And then I like look around, I'm like, oh, this is kind of crazy. This is my job. It's like me, Russ, Bron, Melo, AD in this elevator. I was like, this is kind of funny.
Are you rolling in that
Damn.
moment, or you just kind of let them?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't ever rolled in
Like
the
BTS type stuff.
Nah,
They
because
don't want that.
No, I don't think they do. I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like awkward.
Yeah, like I never was rolling in moments that I thought they wouldn't know I was rolling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I feel like that just breaks the trust.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's smart.
Yeah, it was just a funny moment to be like, this is kind of crazy.
5 future Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
all in one.
You're just like looking straight up, dude.
It's like, yeah, what floor are we on? That was
Can't
funny.
even see.
I can't even see out of the damn thing.
No.
They're all so tall.
I just realized something. You said that 44th floor. You're like, damn, that's high up. On an airplane, you want the lowest number, but on a hotel, you want the highest number.
Yes,
Sure.
Yes, you got to flip it around.
You gotta flip it around.
Flip it around for the hotel so you can get the view, dude.
The other thing with starting your own thing after this, hotel is not gonna be great either.
I know, dude.
Because
That's what
you're
my
gonna
mom-
put
that's
yourself
what-
in like the
That's
Holiday Inn.
that's what Brenda said. Brenda was like, you better get
Yeah.
used. You better really have some
Yep.
fun on these last
Right.
few trips because you're gonna be at like Motel 6.
Because when you got
dude.
the budget, because I've had the budget before, and you get to keep all of the that you don't spend, you start looking at some cheap hotels.
Speaking of cheap hotels, so Brayden was traveling quite a bit with the team, and every time he would check into a new hotel, he's doing a hotel tour, a
of
room
course.
tour, right? We went, I believe it was in 2021 or 2022. We went to New York.
Oh yeah, this is funny.
And we stayed at a Holiday Inn,
Yeah.
right? It was me, Brayden, and Chloe. We're like, we gotta go to New York. Brayden has like a week off. Like, let's go. And we were looking at hotels, and it was very expensive. So we ended up settling on a Holiday Inn. And when I tell you there was not enough room for all 3 of us to open up our suitcases at once,
No way.
there was not enough floor space. And Chloe goes, come on, Brayden, do a hotel room tour for your Instagram. Show the people what we're working with.
Chloe's so sassy. That's so funny.
Bro, the hotel was brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, we walked in. That guy was like, he's like smoking in the
Oh,
in
yeah.
the hotel lobby. I'm like, yo, can I get my keys? Like 10 minutes, man. I'm like,
Right.
what's going on? here,
Right.
dude?
You're on his time.
Yeah, you're on his time. It was
Fuck, that's so funny.
So funny. I will miss those hotels. Those hotels have a special place.
So kind of how Kostas was saying, like when he's shooting concerts, he knows like certain moments are going to come. And he like anticipates. Did you have anything like that with like the chalk toss that LeBron does, or like are there things that you got to anticipate with a game? Like obviously
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen during, but before.
Once you're covering NFL, NBA, baseball, NHL, whatever, they all do the same things. They're very sports people, very ritualistic.
Yeah.
They either like wearing those special socks, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they got their one specific thing that they do, or they walk in a specific way, or they wear these specific shoes. Like they all have things like that you start to pick up on. And I remember like LeBron specifically, I've told you a little bit, right? But it's like pretty early, like
Right.
over 4 hours early to the game. He's lifting weights with his trainer before the game starts.
It's crazy.
Okay, he's lifting. Then he goes out and does his pregame, which he didn't do when I like first got there. Then he started to warm up like later on. Dude, he literally wouldn't warm up. He like
Oh, really?
he would work out and stretch and do all that stuff, but he wouldn't go take like a warm up like the other guys do. And I remember the photogs from the other cities like, LeBron's not. What times he come out? I'm like, I don't think he's warming up today. Like he doesn't warm up. Just such a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
To know like your best dude is just
Kind of scary, dude.
no, he just is gonna come out and just absolutely
Yeah.
dominate you without having to be out there like everybody else does
Right.
that. But then later on, he started to do it. It'd be funny because he'd be like, "Oh, he's warming up tonight," and then there was a streak of time where every time he warmed up, he was dropping like 40 and be like, oh, dude, hopefully he warms up tonight. Man.
Yeah.
Let's get him out there. Like like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the pregame warm up or whatever.
Of course.
It was just, that was funny. And the chalk toss is always in the same spot.
Yeah.
And you have to get there before the TV guys get there, dude. Because TV guys get the priority, right?
Right.
But you got to try to get your spot and then hope that, like, you know, there's like, don't move you over too far, because then you have the other team's camera people, because they want to get, if you have a really good guy on your team, they want to film that person because they're coming to that city. There's like, you know, they want to film that guy or whatever girl on the team. So you got to get to your spot, know where your people are going to be, so then you can move around them. I feel like Rohan and I were talking about this too. It's like a dance. The sports, whatever you're covering, it's like a dance, and you're really trying to just stay out of their way, but then get as close as you can to get the thing, but then get the heck out of there. So then they're not bugged, right?
Right.
And basketball specifically, I think baseball's a little different from people I've talked to, but dude, they've had cameras in their face since they're like 15.
Yeah.
Most of them, right? Especially if they were legitimate number one, they're high picks. Like they've had a camera in their hand or a camera in their face since they were young kids. So they're very used to it, but I don't think you want to abuse that relationship of getting too close, because they're working. You got to remember they're working. Right. So get up, get your shot, get the heck out of there. Don't be staying too long on you shouldn't be very like arms reach. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you need to give them their space to get in their game, get ready, do their thing, lock it in.
Well, I feel like that's a tip, regardless of whatever level you're shooting at. I feel like someone can take that into shooting sports at any level of like, respect the players, you know, regardless of the level. Is there any other advice that you would give an aspiring sports filmmaker that wants to follow a path similar to yours and shoot professional sports? Is there something that you would recommend they focus on?
I think that it doesn't matter what level you're shooting, but you got to post your damn work, dude. You got to post your work, and you got to try to tell more stories than just like cool highlight videos. Yeah. And usually one of the most asked questions that I get is, oh, hey, like I have this camera, and it's usually on the crappier side. It's like it's a little rock camera. It's a Pebble, you know, but then they're using that as an excuse to not shoot. And like in college, dude, bro, I put in, God damn it, this thing's fucking popping.
Yeah, it's popping, huh?
I put in
Let's try it one more time.
I put in so much work to the craft, and friends of mine can attest that I haven't changed at all since school. Like I would film those games, film basketball, film football. I'd stay up until 3-4 in the morning. We would literally, me, Adam Simmons, Reef, we'd be in my room, Kyle, like we'd be in my room. We'd cut all night till 4 in the morning, and then we'd go to bed. We'd wake up, look at all the crappy shit we made, and then we'd do it all over again. Yeah. And that was the most fun time ever. Like if I could go back, that was one time. We're living in a fraternity house. There's like 40 dudes in one house. And some people will be going out and we'd be like, oh, we're cut like 10. We just had a crazy game. We just had the basketball game. We got to cook, dude. And we would watch every YouTube tutorial ever. And we'd be like roasting each other's work, trying to get each other better. And like, I just missed that. And I don't think I've lost that. But that time period was why everything happened. Yeah. And like the sacrifice of just putting the time in every single day. Dude, people hit me up and they're like, oh, how often do you record? Like 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like, you don't want to do this. Right. You don't want to do it.
No, you don't want to do it.
People are doing it 7 days a week. I'm not saying you have to be a workaholic and work 7 days a week, but you got to at least enjoy it, because there's people out there who are so passionate and want to do it full time that if you're like, oh, I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I'm halfway in, halfway out, you're never going to beat them. You're never going to work at top places like that. Like, and I'd like, don't come after me for saying you got to do it every day. But if you really like it and you're passionate about it, you should do it as frequently as you can, because then the rate of growth is exponential. And I looked back at just 1 month in college of how terrible our videos were. 1 month later, they'd be like dramatically better because we do it every day. We were going on road trips like 4 hours away, doing these weird fashion lookbooks that we thought were so sick, and we looked like idiots, dude. Yeah. We looked so stupid in our clothes, and we thought we were so tough. I remember, it's so funny. I went and saw those photos. I'm like, what was Chelsea boots? What was this fit, dude? It's like long blazer. We thought we were onto something so tough.
So funny, man. I was not doing that in college.
Dude, we were shooting so much.
Actually, we did. That's so true.
So funny.
No, I love what you said though. It just reminded me like flashback of my like roommates in college. They didn't like edit or anything. They were like kind of interested in it though, like photography, just like casually. But those nights were like we'd film something like kind of together, and then they'd be all be like crowding by my monitor in my room, it'd be like 4 a.m. I'd just be like editing. We all be like, oh, like after every cut.
Transition.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so fun, dude. I love that shit.
Bro, that was fun. Like, I think that if you're going to go do sports too, like, you gotta enjoy it.
Yeah.
You gotta really like making videos, because I think it's similar to concerts from what I've heard, or even like ad agency land. There's so many things that you can pull from both of those spaces, but your time is messed up for the most. Like, your time isn't 9 to 5.
Totally.
It's very different. The work hours are different. So your significant other, your friends, that stuff can suffer sometimes. Like, I think that not a lot of people talk about that, and I talk to a lot of people about that on the team that we're just struggling with that. Like, that's just a thing that no one says, and they're like, oh, yo, you get to travel and do all this cool shit, and it's like, yeah, but then you maybe don't see your significant other for like 2 weeks at a time, or you're working on your Saturday and Sunday, and most people aren't working on Saturday and Sunday. You're working late nights. Then when you wake up, the last thing you want to do is like to go do something. You just want to rest.
Right.
So I think another really important thing that no one talks about at all is to just take care of yourself. Like, go get a gym membership, go get a Pilates membership, hot yoga, whatever your thing is. You have to do something outside of work that fills back up your cup. And I think, man, I tried my hardest, but that was something I really suffered with. Like, especially, and I'll get into this in a little bit, man, I worked like 3 jobs the whole time I had a job.
Right.
Like a full-time job
Right.
that I was doing well at. I wasn't like not doing it well. I would come home, I'd work more on other shit. I was trying to do content like you were doing, and Kostas' stuff was inspiring to see because he's making all this content. I'm like, I want to do that too. But then I have to make content for my job, obviously. And then you can't let that slip, or you're going to get fired from your job. So you do that stuff during the day. I'd come home at 5:30 or 6. I'd film a video in my room, cut it up. It's now 7:30. Post it. I'm like going to the gym. 24 Hour Fitness. It's now 9. I'm like, oh my God. And then you repeat it. And then if there's another thing you have to do, now it's midnight. And it's just like such a never ending cycle. And I think that the one thing that gets snipped usually for most people is the thing that probably will make you the happiest and happiest and healthiest. Like, prioritize that thing, work out your body in some way, shape, or form, and try to prioritize your mental health, because I've seen a lot of people go through some bad stuff with it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important to say.
I definitely relate to that. I think sports, like you were saying, I do think sports and concerts are similar to that. I feel like those are the two main niches within, photography and video that it looks super glamorous from the outside, but it's weird hours and a lot on the weekends.
Yeah, bro. It's just taxing. It's just, it's taxing on you. And I don't regret that time, but it's, especially once I started to travel, when you're just doing home games, that's not really that bad. It's 41 games. It's not that bad. But once you add in the travel, and specifically in basketball, NFL's, dude, they're just 12 games. That's it. And if you're looking into sports, dude, check out the NFL. You got a longer off season.
You got 8 home games a year.
8 home games.
17 games now.
That sounds like a vibe.
Yeah, it sounds like a vibe.
It sounds like, I know it's super hard. I'm not docking it.
No, I know. But you were also like sneaking away to like do our stuff. Or can we talk about that? God, it was so funny because Costa smiled as soon as you were like, I was doing like other stuff too. I was like, oh, we're doing it. Are we doing it? We don't have to do it.
I don't want to go into it yet. I'll tell it another day. Another day.
Okay, so you quit.
Yeah.
So that
There's
means
so many funny stories of us like
oh
hustling.
my God.
Like you flying to Austin like after like mid game, like so much shit like that.
Oh yeah, it was okay.
So sketch.
So now that you've quit, there is a job opportunity open for the Lakers.
True.
So there's a 2-part question.
Okay.
1, should they message you if they want that job?
Absolutely not.
But we got to get a rock in that role though. You know what I mean? That'd be so rad.
I've sent through some people that have hit me up about it that I think would be great. I have hundreds of DMs.
I bet.
I'm not answering them. You should hit up the people that work there right now.
That's the thing about sports and concerts. It's like, you're like, yeah, it's a sick job, but because it's a sick job, there's always 100 people ready to take your spot as soon as you're ready to dip.
I bet they get thousands that apply for that job.
Especially people that just love the Lakers and can film. They're like, oh my God, it's perfect. It's like why I want to do porn. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh man. But as far as getting a sports job, that's something you've actually been able to do quite a bit for people in your coaching program is being able to land rocks or help rocks land jobs with, huge sports brands, whether it's, professional or college. So my question to you is there a specific tip or maybe a few tips that you give rocks that they can do within their workflow or just a piece of advice for a rock wanting to land a job with a college team or a professional sports team, something that you see people messing up or not doing, or an easy thing that they can incorporate into maybe their portfolio or something like that that can help them land a job at the next level?
I'll start with college because I think college is like 99 times easier to get a spot. Like if you look at the NBA or the NFL, right? How many teams in the NFL?
32.
Yeah.
32?
Yep.
Okay, so that's not that many jobs. Times the video departments or photo department, graphic design, whatever, by 4 maximum. Right. Some of the teams maybe have like 8 and they're really big departments, but most of the NFL, NBA, little teams, dude.
Yeah.
I was one of 3 video producers. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's little.
Crazy.
That is microscopic.
When
you really think about how much stuff the 3 of us were making, it's in like you compare it to an ad agency or you compare it to in-house brand teams and how many content creators now, like specifically this second, that those brands are having. That's little.
Well, I also feel like people don't realize that you weren't just shooting the games. Like there's community
you're shooting
videos.
Community, you're shooting events, you're
editing too.
You're editing a lot of stuff. You're doing so many partnership videos.
Yeah.
And like we didn't have an editor until I believe a year before. Like maybe this was his 2nd season, I think, with us. So bro, the 3 of us edited everything for the whole company. So like if you saw it, it was one of 3 people.
And so, but you're saying that NBA, there's 30 teams.
Okay, yeah,
soon
that's
to
where
be
I was
32.
Going. Yeah, soon to be 32. Yeah, 30 teams, right? 30 times 3. Yeah. So that's 90. That's 90 peeps, right?
That's 90 peeps.
Is that it? Is that right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's right. Okay,
But
that's correct.
Fucking college, there's a million of them.
College, and they also, most of the schools want great interns that are hungry and ready
Right.
to learn. And I think though now what is different, kids in college are way better than what we were. Like we were just not bad, and so then we were good. But now the kids are good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now everyone's like has access to a really nice camera. Like for reference, the A7S II came out when I was in school, and the kid that got it, his name's Owen. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Right.
Owen's got the A7S II and it shoots in log. And we're like, what does the gray footage do?
Right.
Why does your footage look way better than ours on this crappy Canon T5i? Right. Dude, that's what we were using to shoot games and stuff, So I think it's just changed a ton. What's up?
What percentage of people that work in a college sports like video department or content department, what percentage go to the school versus just like having a job with the school?
I feel like most, the interns specifically, or just like people that work.
So there's some like dudes that work there and then they hire like 4 interns who are like students.
Yeah, or like
that's a good system. I feel like
at Oregon, like obviously Wisco had probably a really small team, but Oregon, when I went just back to speak this last year, they had like 25 interns.
Damn.
Huge squad, which is how it should be though. You give more people opportunity. There's track, volleyball, basketball, football, tennis. Like there's so many sports that people can go cover and get experience in. So if, let's say you were at a school maybe that doesn't cover, like they don't have the resources to cover every sport. That's what I would go and say. I'd say, hey, I see you guys don't post any of the tennis team. I'm really passionate about tennis. I'd love to cover the team. Show what you're worth. Show that you can do something. And then they're going to love you and say, wow, like Mikey is insane, or, Janice is insane at covering tennis. Let's get her into basketball, or let's get her into this. And that's a way that you can creep up the ladder. And now if you're out of school, you've never shot sports, I'd start small and local. Like Kosti says, start at basketball at a little like AAU situation. Sure. People always have cameras there. If YMCA, football, Pop Warner, like anything that you can do to make money. There was a guy in my coaching program who would shoot youth soccer photos. Okay. He would make, dude, his package was like $350 to these parents. He would go tell me, he's like, dude, I'd collect like $2,000 in one little game.
That's so crazy.
Guy was murdering it.
That's
and
so
I'm like,
funny.
You've kind of blown my mind as to what's possible. And he goes, dude, these parents want their kids' moments frozen forever, like of when they're 6. And he goes, I'm going after a wealthier neighborhood.
Right.
So $350 to these rich people is nothing.
Yep.
We're going to have a whole pot on positioning, but like, it's so important to make sure that who you're trying to go after has the pockets to be able to pay you what you're worth. And like if you're fishing in a pond and they're like, oh, we'll give you $25 for a video or photos, you're fishing in the wrong pond.
Right.
But there's ponds that have deeper pockets. I promise you that. And like you should be getting paid what you feel like you're worth. This is the biggest one too. One of the biggest ones. So many people would hit us up and me up personally in the DMs. Crazy way to pitch yourself. Be like, hey, dude, what you're doing, it's kind of cool. This is really cool what I do.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people hit me up doing that. It's unbelievable. Or they'd hit up like the head of social and be like, hey, you know, your social's pretty good, but this post wasn't it. And I think I could really do X, Y, and Z. That is the quickest way to get clipped from the job pool or just like blocked and never work for any team if that person hates you enough of your message was that stupid. That's when I would say I saw, oh, dude, it still happens. It literally happened this last job pool. That happened that I saw someone do that. DM me some shit like, oh, some random video like, hey, I could do way better than this. I'm like, that's cool. You'll never have a job. That's insane. It's crazy. What a weird way to try to pitch yourself. I would say what I would do if I was applying for a job, dude, you always compliment. If you want people to like you want people to like actually take you seriously in an interview, compliment the things that they're doing. And if there's an area that you think for improvement, offer it as like maybe we could check this out. Why? Or maybe like, is there a reason you guys don't do this? And they'll tell you, oh, we don't do this because of this. And then you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Now I'm not going to ask that stupid question that I was going to pose in a different way. And I think the other one, dude, you just got to be a good rock. Got to be a good person to hang out with. We said it earlier, but like you're spending so much time around these people, you are going to want to be friends with the people that you work with, or at least like cool with them, you know? Like you don't have to be BFFs with people you work with. I'm not saying that, but like you're going to want to be tight and be able to hang out with these people for longer periods of time. And you should think about that when you're applying for jobs. Like if you get on the interview and they offer you a job, and you don't vibe with your direct manager, probably not the place to be.
Right.
Probably not the place you want to be spending 10 hours a day at, you know?
And I feel like at sports teams, they kind of have to vet you to make sure you're not going to be like super fucking weird around the players. Because like they're celebrities and they probably have big egos. And I'm sure there's like kids out there that would go up and like ask them super weird questions and shit.
Dog, I remember we were at a media day like two years ago, and I don't know whose kid this was. Like, I don't know how this kid was there. All of a sudden, like LeBron's walking out of this one thing, and this kid just walks up with a jersey and a pen at the media day, and I was like, "What is going on?" And LeBron's like, "I'm not like what is going on?" And then one of the media people like saw and was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And like it was someone's kid.
How old was the kid?
Old enough to know that was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like a 5-year-old.
No, that's different. This kid was like 18 or something.
Right.
Yeah, too old.
But yeah, I'm also saying like, yeah, if you like work, if they're going to hire you, they got to make sure that you're not gonna be like on the plane being like, what up bros?
Yeah.
You know, like trying to be like, that's so awkward.
Especially after like a long game.
Right.
Like they don't really want to probably be asked
Like
questions
about their mental health.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? Like
not after the game.
Respect their time. I feel like that's a big one. Okay, you have a lot more similarities to LeBron than I honestly originally thought.
Sure.
This feels like the decision. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So like now we've come to the question that is on everybody's mind.
Are you taking your talents to South Beach?
So the big question on everybody's mind, Fig, is why did you quit?
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. I'm going to Miami.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
No, from the moment that I was in school, like even before that, I had always dreamed of owning my own thing and building something that I thought could be very special and something I could call my own, which is one of the main reasons why I'm leaving is to do this podcast with you guys at the highest level that we can possibly do it at, and to give more attention to the show and to just help in any way that I can in growing it. And like, I don't know if you guys are longtime listeners to this show and you've been with us for a while. I mean, we had no bread whatsoever building this damn thing. It's all like we're pouring every cent of our bread into it. Then you get brand sponsorships that come into it. And so now it's like trying to make these partners happy, make really high quality content for them, make the show better. And in turn, we will be able to profit more money and actually help us grow the machine. And then we'll get better guests on for you guys. Because at the end of the day, we want this to be the #1 hub for creators from all over the world to learn and grow. And that's our promise. So anyone that we get on, we're always thinking about how can we help you and how can we help the younger versions of ourselves expedite that opportunity for you guys to go out and make more bread, get better opportunities, and just be the best that you can be in the creative space. So that was #1. The other thing too is like, I've been working on this for a long time, but I'm starting a company with Sharif, and it's called Blue Stripe Studios. Blue Stripe will be a creative production studio that specializes in content that is for the phone. So it's where all of our attention is at 24/7. Everyone's on the damn phone. And I think when I was trying to figure out where this company would sit in the market, it was like, if I go after the big production companies right now and for broadcast, it's going to be really hard for me, in my opinion, if I was a brand, to say, why do I go with these guys when they're like new into it, new into the game, whatever, new into the space. I would have a really hard time with any other production company that's very old. They've been doing it for 25 years to tell me that they knew more about vertical stuff.
Right.
I just don't think they just don't, right? Like, and I think that we are making stuff that is on the phone that is doing really well organically. And you can't tell me that they're better off making the stuff for the phone. Wide broadcast, yes, you got us beat. You've been doing it for so long. And I think there's opportunity there and space there where the brands want to connect with people, not on a TV ad. And like, they're getting so much more bang for their buck spending $100K doing vertical or doing 4x5 than they are doing wide stuff that's going on broadcast and putting ad dollars behind that. So that's where I saw a gap in the market. And I think that other thing too, like I've talked to a lot of people about this. I think when you're at a job and you're not learning anything anymore, you have to reevaluate what you're doing. And that opportunity that I got to work for that team was by far the coolest thing I could have ever asked for, and more. It 10x my expectations. Like, anyone that's thinking about getting a job at the Lakers, you should go get a job at the Lakers. It's a great place to work. But going back and thinking about doing another season of the same thing again, like, there's only I can only get so good at shooting a basketball go through a hoop.
Right. Again, it's like LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, year 21, year 22, fixing year 5, still at it, dude.
Right.
People were asking, how is he still performing at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I hit kind of like a ceiling. You know?
Yeah, totally.
And then you start to question, like, you know, you get a job on a Saturday or something and it's paying me my month's salary for one day. And then you start to really think like, wow, well, what if I put all of this energy and time into something that is my own and into something that I can call my own? And like, this is by far, if you've watched the YouTube video that I made where I go into it, like this is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And there's a Jeff Bezos video or a podcast or something, and he's talking about how like a lot of decisions are two-way decisions where you can go through the door and you can decide if you want to come back out and go back to the other door, right? And like pick the other option. And this decision, I knew when I made this decision that it was a one-way door.
Yeah.
There's no going back to that. Like, once I tell people I'm leaving, I can't say, oh, I decided to come back.
Right.
I want to keep staying here. And like, that was so hard. And if you've ever quit a job before, you know how shitty it is. Like, I'm not going to tell you that it was like sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. Like, I was, you know, you like romanticize that idea of what it's going to be like when you say, hey, I'm done. Like, I'm done here. And like, I didn't leave there on bad terms. Like, I really did love it there. And I think that you have to always prioritize yourself. And this is for any company in the world. Okay. The day you leave, they will post your job.
Right.
The day that you quit, the day that if you died tomorrow, they'll post your job and they will refill it in a few weeks.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what thing you're going after, if you feel a calling and a gut feeling to go do something else, you should follow the gut feeling. Because the last thing that I wanted to do was be 45 or 50 and think like, man, what if I really gave the pod my full attention? Or what if I started the company with my best buddy? Like, what if I started that company and what could it be to this day? And like, you look at where we're at right now, we're at episode 123 and I feel like we just barely have momentum now. It's like the train is off the tracks. We're going forward. We're going like, you know, you're going up this damn hill for so long and like you lose sight of almost like what you're even doing at a point. You're at like episode 70 and we're like, damn, we're making no money with this whatsoever.
There's no coal in the train.
There's
engine.
no coal in this train, but we're chugging up this track I love that reference, Chase. We're going up this track like every single damn day. And at a point, it's like, when are we gonna get that gold? Like, when is the gold gonna come?
Nice.
You know?
Come on,
treasure chest, dude.
Gotta lube up the wheels, baby.
You bring up how, like, if you've been listening to the show from day one, you know that, like, we're trying to grow this thing. And I feel like the last 3 months, if you've really been here since day one, or you've, at what point you found us and you started listening from like episode 1, I feel like you can tell over the last like 3 months, I feel like the caliber of guests that we've been getting wood panels, a new neon sign,
shit plants.
Dude, yeah.
Like you can really like see and feel the growth. And I feel like I'm super proud, and I think we all are, of the quality of product that we've been putting out lately. And when I tell you that, like, the conversations that we have of like where we see this thing going and the potential that we feel like this thing has, like, we are just scratching the surface.
Man, it's gonna be nuts.
Anyways, I agree with your point about companies try to be like, oh, we're this big family, all this thing. You're not a fucking family, dude. You're not. And it's good for you. It's good for them. You're working there. And then when you're ready to move on, it's not like you're saying bye to your family. You're quitting a job and they're going to replace you the next day. And that's just how it's going to go. And like, it's not like if a family, if you lost a family member, you wouldn't just be like, let's just make another one. You're not a fucking family. Quit your job if you want to quit.
No, I think
Fuck yeah.
I hate that. I hate when they say that
yeah.
shit, dude.
The other thing too that I think is sad, and I hope companies listen to this, because most people at jobs that are really good at what they do, I don't think that most companies promote them fast enough.
Agreed.
And so I see this trend on TikTok right now where there's people giving this advice. Dude, I think they're spot on. Like, I think after a year or after 2 years, bounce, get out of there, or try to get a raise. If they don't give it to you, leave, because you'll get more money.
Quickest way to get a promotion.
You'll get more money in a promotion at other places. And I've seen it happen so many times for rocks that I've coached, and for just people in general that are like, oh, I saw this senior level job here. I'm at this level. I really like my team. I'm like, you should say that you're going to leave if they don't give you a title bump.
Right.
And if they don't, they're stupid, because you're really good at what you do. That didn't happen to me. I'm just saying, do I wish I was promoted? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But so it's all good.
It's all good.
That is just a thing though that I think that people they're not like thinking about that. And like you have to prioritize yourself and make sure that you're taken care of and your needs are met. And if you think you're really good at what you do and you have hard skills, you can always go get another job. But if like at some point you have to burn the boats and you have to go all in on the thing that you're trying to do. Because if you have 1 foot out and 1 foot in, that boat is just going to sink, dude. And that dream will die.
Well, especially if you feel like you aren't growing anymore in your current job. Like, as humans, naturally, we just have that need to evolve. And I feel like there's no worse feeling than showing up somewhere and being like, I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I think that like all of you, whether you work at a company or you do something, man, try to do something outside of the normal thing that you do that fills up the cup in some other shape or form. Like I want to shout you out, Chase, for like selling your LUT pack over these last few weeks. I think that's really cool. And it's really crazy though to think about
LinkedIn bio.
Yep.
LinkedIn bio.
Like all of you guys listening to this have a skill, whether like you've been in sales or you've been a producer or you've been a filmmaker or you've been an editor. Like people want to learn your skill, and you're doing yourself a disservice by not teaching others or applying something in your process that makes you do that thing faster and selling it. Because it's the craziest thing ever to wake up and be like, damn, I just made more money than I did at my full-time job off of selling something that's really helping people. And if you're always putting people first and thinking about, does this provide actual value to people? And it does. You're not being a salesy person. Yeah. You're providing value to people.
Totally.
And like creative people, so many of you might even fight me on this, be like, oh, you just want to sell stuff and fill your pockets. Like, I promise you, your life will change when you flip that way of thinking and you think about, if I'm providing value to people, it is okay. You think about all the things on, like I was provided value by this iPad. So I traded Apple $750 for this piece of technology that aids in my life and makes it better. This microphone was $750 and sounds 27 times better than any other microphone on the market. So we pay in exchange for this insane piece of value that we get,
I will also say, like, I at first getting a sale, like when I started selling the LUT pack, was just like the coolest thing. Like getting the email that's like, you sold this, the sickest. But then now recently the reviews come in it, like from people, and getting a 5-star review is way sicker than selling a LUT.
They coming in?
100%.
It's way cooler, and it's like, oh damn, like they actually are fucking with it, and like that's way more rewarding than the $47 or whatever that goes to Stripe and then takes it down, and then I only see like half of it. But it's all good, dude. But yeah, the 5-star review means way more than selling, and that means that you are providing someone with something that they truly enjoyed. You
Exactly.
know?
Absolutely. Before you left and quit your job, was there anything you needed to make sure happened before you were able to say peace?
Yes, I think that you should have at least 4 to 6 months of expenses like covered. And I don't live cheap, so I had to save some bread and make sure that I was covered. Like, I will also say this, I'm a serial saver. Like, I save most of the money that I make, and I'm really proud of that, and it's very hard to do. But what I would say to any of you who are maybe at a job right now, do a few things. One, hammer that 401k that they give you.
Dude.
Hammer it, dude. Because then if they match it, you're going to look at that number if you're there for a year, 4 years, whatever, and it's going to be a nice, healthy number. And low key, you should have, like by the time you're 50, you should have like $1.5 million. Free 99 pretty much.
Free 99.
Free 99, $1.5 million that should come to you when you're like in your 50s. Compound interest is a crazy thing. The second thing though, that I would say that's wicked important, pay yourself before you pay your bills, okay? And what I mean by that is, let's say you make $4,000, $5,000 a month. Cool. Your rent's $1,000 or wherever it is, wherever you're from. Grab whatever chunk of this money that you can spare, and usually it's a lot higher of a number. Let's say it's $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and then learn how to live off of that extra like $1,000 or $1,500, whatever that number is. And when you do that, you'll look at your 401k will be firing, right? If you're at a job, cool. But then you have this other lump sum of money, whether that's diverted into the S&P 500, whether it's in a money management account, or whether it's just in a savings account that's getting you 5% a year. That also, what you could do is deploy that onto things that you want to get better at. So when you need your new Ronin, when you need your new camera, it's not like, damn, I'm pulling from this money that I have. Whatever's left is yours. Go have fun with it. Spend it on whatever you want to spend it on.
Put it into crypto.
Don't do that.
Yeah, dude. That's a really good advice. That's probably the best
NFTs
thing we've
maybe.
said all podcast.
Yep.
Pay yourself first. And the best investment you're ever going to make by far is yourself, whether it's on a networking event, whether it's on a conference, a coaching program, LUTs, sound effects, Artlist.io, whatever the thing is that you can invest in yourself in, always do that. Because, dude, people will go to Coachella and spend $2,000, but then they wouldn't spend $2,000 on something that's actually going to make them an insane at this thing, whatever that thing is going to be. And I would urge you guys to flip your mindset on how you invest and save your bread, because I think it's really important, and it'll make you all way better creatives, and you'll feel a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? You'll feel secure, and you won't feel as like rattled with these things that you're going through.
I remember in finance learning like 90% of the money that you'll see in your life from here on out is going to come from, guess what it's going to come from?
90% of the money from here on out?
That you're going to see in your life, investments, whatever. It's future earnings that you make for yourself at a job, at whatever. That's what you make money in. So if you invest in yourself and you make those earnings more, that's how you're going to make more money.
I see.
That's where like all your fucking money comes in. And when you do the calculations, it's crazy. And like, cause you think like, and it's important to invest. It totally is in the S&P and whatever, but like, you're right. Investing in yourself is just going to increase your future earnings. And that's where like almost all the money you're going to see in your entire life is going to come from.
The most bread I've ever made came from very scary things that I thought would be like, oh, is this the right idea? Is this the person I trust? Like, bro, you can legit buy access to the people you want to learn from. If you email or DM them and say, what does it cost for coaching? I have questions for you. They will literally tell you their hourly rate. And it might be disgusting, but like, dude, we had Christo on the pod a minute ago, and I remember after the pod, we got to chat with him, and like, we talked about that. Like, you can get access to any person right now in the entire world, damn near, by just paying an amount of money to get your questions answered. And that might, if you're at like under 100K or something, going to a creative person that's making maybe high 6 figures and saying, hey, how are you doing this? Maybe they're making 7 figures and saying, how are you doing this? How are your incomes diversified like this? They will tell you, you will have a transaction of money. You will get value from that. And like, bro, I'm telling you guys, like, invest in those types of things, because it expedites your process times 10. And like, going back to when I was a Little Rock, I would have just said, hey, I like this guy's stuff. How much do I have to pay you to have a little hour phone call, a little hour Zoom? And I want you to show me how you're editing. Like, how does your project set up? How do you do it fast and efficiently? Do you send then the raws? Like, what should I think about in my contracts? Bro, you can expedite everything. And people in the creative world, for some reason, it's just not a thing that it's a thing in business land. You guys should take that and run with it because you'll be so much further ahead than most of the people in this game.
It's almost like
How LeBron did it?
no, well, yeah, right. No, it's
Dude.
almost like I wish there was something that they could, invest in,
I would join that wait list down below.
It's almost like we're coming out with something that would be perfect for these rocks.
Totality LUT.
Listen, dude, okay? If you're trying to get clients, Coasty and I have created the Dream Client Accelerator, okay? Basically,
What a name, right?
insane. In 6 weeks, okay, you're going to learn how to go after your dream clients, how to pitch them, how to do what to do on a sales call, how to position yourself. You are going to learn so much in the next 6 weeks that you'll be able to apply directly into your business. It's going to be monumental for your growth. And it's the Dream Client Accelerator Waitlist. It's linked down below.
Such a good name.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. If you guys are still here, dude, please, man, hit that subscribe button, leave us a like, drop us a comment. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And let me know, as always, if you have any questions. Peace.
Nice.